Hi, I'm Jill Bunyan and I am the Social Justice and Financial Inclusion Graduate Intern for Midlothian Voluntary Action, and I'll be answering some questions today on power of attorney. So I think in terms of when you start the conversation, it's personal to you at the end of the day. But I think that the sooner you have it, the better. You don't know what circumstances are going to befall you in the near future, in the far future. But ultimately, if you're going to deem someone power of attorney, and it is most likely going to be a loved one or someone that you trust to do so, I don't think it would be difficult for you to sit down and have that conversation with them at any point in stage in your life. If they are someone that cares about you, then I'm sure they'll be happy to contribute, but it's also about giving them that option to step into that position, as it is obviously a position of responsibility, and trusting you to look after your affairs if something does happen to you. So I think having that conversation is extremely important, and getting consent from the person that you're asking to be your power of attorney. I think kind of the starting point is thinking about power of attorney in terms of it's never too early to think about it. You can need a power of attorney at any stage in your life. And I think it's about kind of recognising that your next of kin have no legal authority to make decisions if you become incapacitated unless you have granted them power of attorney in advance. And I think that that's a point that not many people are aware of. And I think it's about making that very kind of prominent in power of attorney conversations. Ultimately, better to have power of attorney and not need it rather than need it and not have it. And I think it's important to kind of stress that point, that power of attorney is something we might not need in the future. You might never need it, but it will, if it rears its head that you do need it and you don't have it, then you could find yourself you could leave your loved ones in a difficult situation. So it's important to have these conversations with your loved ones and make sure that if you've thought about it and spoken about it, then it's much easier to start the process. Anyone over the age of 16 can be granted a power of attorney. It doesn't matter your age or stage of your life. You don't have to wait until you're elderly or retired or making a will to deem someone your power of attorney. Accidents or illnesses can leave you incapacitated at any age. They can happen at any point in your life and they're unpredictable. So it's important to have that conversation about having a power of attorney and beginning the process sooner rather than later. You can appoint anyone you wish to be your attorney, but ensure it is someone you trust, and it's good to have that discussion with them before making your final decision. So the key difference between power of attorney and guardianship is that power of attorney is drawn up when the grantor has the mental capacity to do so, whereas guardianship occurs when an individual does not have power of attorney and has lost capacity to make decisions regarding their welfare. So an individual or the local authority can then apply to the court for welfare guardianship to make welfare decisions for the person. Additionally, an individual or a professional such as a solicitor or an accountant can apply for financial guardianship to make decisions about property and finances. So guardianship obviously happens after the fact. If you've become incapacitated and unable to make your own decisions, power of attorney happens pre. So again, what's kind of preferable, I guess the limitations and restrictions with guardianship is that it can be much more expensive and it can take 6 to 12 months to become effective. And I think kind of, although those are potential limitations to some people, I think crucially, guardianship can become somebody, your guardian can be somebody that you didn't choose yourself. And then it's that kind of risk of who's making these decisions on your behalf. So I think ultimately that point in itself is enough of an argument that you should have a power of attorney in place. So if you don't have a power of attorney, it makes the situation a lot more difficult for your loved ones to handle your affairs, and not just the making of decisions on your behalf. It can lead to a very difficult time in your family's life if you have become incapacitated in any shape or form. Your family is already going to be experiencing distress, kind of pain, anger, fear, and not having a power of attorney could just exacerbate the situation. So power of attorney obviously grants you the legal authority to make decisions on your behalf, and without it, nobody in your family, your next of kin, your loved ones has that automatic right to do so. So ultimately, if you don't have it, it can result in the courts having to appoint somebody to be your guardian, and that can be a much more lengthy and costly process. And again, I think you have to question, do you want to put your family through that? And in terms of kind of the impact on kind of healthcare as well, and funding, etc., that this is, like I said, it's a much more costly and lengthy process to appoint a guardian. That could all be avoided if you just appointed a power of attorney yourself prior to anything happening to you.